Greetings, greetings, greetings. TGIF, everyone. How are you doing? What's going on? And what is happening? I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is going well for you. I really do. And I started a little bit early because I wanted to start on time with my little opening and get right on into it. Because the stream won't be that long today. So, so let me go and get on into it. What I wanted to say is all you need is a cellular phone, smartphone that is, to go online and to be whoever you want to be. Isn't that something? Whoever you want to be. You just turn it on and choose to be someone other than yourself. I see it all the time. But when you go outside, when you open your front door and you go outside into the world, you have to obey the laws. You have to get in the correct lane, the right speed. You have to wait in line when you do your grocery shopping, when you check out, all of that. The first person you fool is the people that don't know you. Not everyone is fooled. And then you're fooling yourself when you go into pretending to be someone else. But you have that option. Everyone does. How you live with that? I don't know. How do you live with that? Do you become someone else? You lie so much to yourself that you actually believe it? I don't know. But that kind of plays into the mental health, mental illness, which is a little bit of what I want to talk about. Even though I'll be sharing some police mental health stories, I want to cross over to just mental health of people in general. It's actually that season, holiday. It gets quiet. The time changes. It gets darker earlier. Less sunshine. And you'll see the effects during this season. It's on its way. It's already happening, but you're going to see more and more of it. You'll see it on the news. If you read a physical newspaper, whether online or in your paper in your hand, you'll see it there. You'll see posts. You may even hear a little rumble, in your neighborhood. You'll see it there too. Because there's a lot of changes, And I talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of things I'm not able to share. So, you know, only thing I can do is just give you a little bit here and a little bit there when it comes down to um, things that's going on. Because a lot of people are not going to be honest with you. They're going to let you know in their world is perfect. They don't even get a hangnail. They don't do nothing. Everything is fine. They wake up in the morning, everything fine. They don't even have to stretch. That's how perfect they are. But I beg to differ because those that are actually working, that see people, talk to them, doctors' offices, hospitals, even the pharmacy, you will see there are a lot of people with a lot of issues, whether it's physical, mental, financial, or all three. Just imagine all three going through something physically that you need to take something and you don't have the money to take that, to stay well, to stay stable. Well, we're going to get into that today. All right. A little disappointment I have, but it's called life, and I'm going to have to deal with that. I put the show together, and YouTube says, we're not sure we're going to monetize this. We got to do some checking to see. So I'm looking, I'm like, is it my thumbnail? You don't like the rear view mirror, police in the back? The car? Oh, okay, that might be it. Well, maybe it's because of the title, the word police. Maybe that's it. Or how about mental? How about health? Maybe all three. I don't know. But at this point, I do not care. Because truth is good, you know? People don't like it. It tastes a little bitter, a little sour, if you will, but it's okay. You need that along with the sweet. And that's what I do. I like to tell the truth. I'm not good at lying, I'm not good at pretending, you know? And there's a lot of that goes on. You see that all the time. And just because you hear it over and over again doesn't mean that people are going to believe it. Give you a little example. Anyone heard? Well, I'm pretty sure you have in these YouTube streets. Have you heard about that statistic that 20% of men are the percentage out of 100 that's having encounters, sexual encounters, that is, with women? That's it. So out of 100, only 20 guys are having sexual experiences. That leaves out 80. That's a lot of men. But I think because people say it over and over again, it's supposed to be true. What I say is think for yourself. Think for yourself. Even with my channel starting off as an advice channel, that's what the challenge was. I still tell you to think for yourself. I can tell you about some experiences, some things that maybe you may not have thought of, but in the end, think for yourself. I'm going to leave it right there. That's what I'm going to leave it at. Okay. Now I'm going to keep the music playing low in the background because that's something I learned as of late. They're saying that if you have a little music in the background and you're showing these news clips, it's supposed to help as far as with you're not getting, well, not to say a strike, but having to edit it and take it out and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. But again, I like truth. So be it. If I have to edit the darn video, I just have to edit it or leave it in, not monetize. It's going to be what it's going to be. But at least it'll be the truth. I tell you that. That's what's important to me, giving you the truth. All right. Let's see here. I have one more thing I want to mention and then share this video. It escapes me. Maybe I'll see it once I share this video. Um, well, speaking of truth, this is what I'm going to show you. Oops, wrong thing. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I have approximately 3 more shows next week, the 18th, and I have not decided if I'm going to do 2 shows in December or one. Um, Details coming soon. I don't know. It just depends on my workload. Okay. So, segue on into truth or half truths. That's what I call them. They're half truths. Let me drop the link because I don't want to have to kind of go back and forth. So, let me do that. If you like to join the conversation, please do. What's going on, Don Teasy, Mr. DJ Music, Lady V in the house, Celine, what's going on? What's happening? Welcome. Emmanuel, always good to see it. Just Jay, is a privilege and an honor to have you here. I just love you in the chat rooms. Every time I see you, I just like, she is so cool. All right. Well, also, I want you guys to welcome the lovely and that wonderful and that classic Ruby, everybody.
Y'all, I listen. I'm late, okay? I'm late. My apologies, Sharon. I love you. But it ain't my fault. It's sort of my fault, but it's not my fault also, right? So I the reason why it's not my fault is because if they had sent me my phone when they were supposed to send me my brand new phone, because yes, y'all, I have a brand new phone and it's super awesome. I have the S22 Ultra. If I had gotten it before today, then all these things would be set up in advance, and then I wouldn't have been late. Right. But then also, if I had thought about the fact that I'd have to re-log into like all of life to use the phone to be able to get into StreamYards, I might have started earlier. You know what I mean? You feel me? You feel me, right, Char? You feel me? Um, so there's that. Um, and then like the learning curve, like for example, there's no like regular headphone jack in the S22 Ultra. Like you have to use Bluetooth, or you have to use like the USB kind of connection. Yeah, so it's like it's a whole thing. I'm learning. I'm growing as a technologically savvy person. I'm working on it. How are you doing today, Shar? I didn't even get a chance to listen because I was sitting there panicking, going, "This not working. I can't get this to work." It was a thing. It was a lot of panicking the last 12 minutes. I got to tell you, but I made it.
Well, I'm glad you make it. Welcome.
Thank you.
And if you like, you can always go back a little later.
Yes, I'm definitely gonna have to do that.
All right.
And also, Just Jay, I love you also. I did hear that part, and yeah, I 100% co-sign that. Like, I mean, there's other people in here. Y'all are cool and everything, but I've been telling you that for years. Y'all are right. Just Jay, we go back to like earlier this year when I first said, "Girl, you funny. I like you." You know what I mean? So I think it's newer, and I therefore have to encourage that more often. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it's favoritism at all. So yeah, that's how to say that. Just kidding.
All right. I mentioned mental health. It's a segue into just what's going on, but I'm also going to show um, what's going on in the police force.
Mhm.
So we're going to do a little bit of both. The stream probably will be a little shorter. We'll see what happens. I have a couple of clips. We'll see how the conversation go.
Hmm.
So the first part of is the mayor of Chicago, of course,
Mhm.
Lori Lightfoot, better known as Auntie Lori, she says that the cops have incredible amount of time off. Yeah,
Mm.
that's what she said. That's what she says. But I have other people, as police officers, are saying in clips that that's not true. Yeah. So I'm going to
Mm.
read this, and then we're going to go on to the other clips that I have. And this first article says Mayor Lori Lightfoot disputes the notion that Chicago police officers are being overworked, telling reporters the department gives police notice when their days off are going to be canceled. And they have an incredible amount of time. Yeah, that's part of their contract. Lightfoot made the comments after aldermen approved an ordinance Wednesday providing a death benefit to spouses of first responders who died by getting rid of themselves. The city council passed a measure unanimously after a sponsor, Southwest Side Alderman Matt O'Shea, and other aldermen spoke about the hardships faced by officers, including their days off repeatedly canceled amid an ongoing staff shortage. Okay, let me see. I heard somebody. Where is my tab? Oh, okay. Nothing. Okay. Let me go back. Where was I? The Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown, Lightfoot handpicked by choice to be the city's top cop, has often increased officers' shift to 12-hour days and canceled days off since 2020 as violence has remained at elevated levels. In May 2021, the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police issued a symbolic vote of no confidence against Lightfoot. Brown and the department's second in command, Eric Carter, for reasons including days off cancellation and shift extensions. All right. Now, what I want to show you now is part of an interview from officers that's saying, okay, I don't know what she's talking about, but I
Mm-hmm.
got something to say.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me get that together here.
I'm interested because well, I mean, honestly, like a lot of things, my opinion is like none of the above, but I'm gonna wait until the end. So,
Oh,
I mean, it might change, right? I mean, I might end up aligning myself with one side or the other.
okay.
Probably not. We know I don't do that well, but there's always a chance, right?
Well, well,
Never say never,
that's true. Always keep hope alive. So,
right?
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep hope alive.
Hmm.
Okay, got a couple of comments. So let me go ahead and put this in here. So I'm going to go to another page. And here we go.
Chicago police recently touted signing hundreds of new recruits as a milestone toward ending blue burnout.
But what is CPD leadership not telling you? CBS 2 investigator Dorothy Tucker discovered the numbers are not adding up. She spoke with two former Chicago officers who say turning in their badges was about more than just working long hours.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me.
My whole life. My whole life. That's what I wanted to do.
I state your name.
My heart was in CPD. That's what my passion was. This is my my star number that I had tattooed on my arm about 10 years ago.
It's just how much you loved.
Yeah. I mean, I don't put anything on my body unless it means something to me.
Amy Hurley joined the force in 2006. District 9, Bridgeport, was home.
I planned on staying 30 years.
She didn't make it.
I gave up a full pension.
3 months ago,
I gave up.
Hurley walked away.
nice paycheck. I gave up insurance,
After only 16 years.
almost everything that I love.
Others are also giving up a little early. The number of retirees this year, 583. It already outpaces all of 2019 and 2020.
My dream was to be a Chicago police officer.
This officer was also passionate about the job. We aren't using his name. He wants to be called John.
We got about 150 awards,
They fill a photo album.
40 honorable mentions, 5 life-saving awards.
So many, but not enough.
I thought I was going to be here in Chicago for my entire career.
He didn't make it. With less than 10 years, John resigned.
It was a heartbreak for me. I felt like I lost part of my identity.
When the CBS 2 investigators dug deep into the data, we discovered 244 resignations between January and the end of July. That's more than twice the number in all of 2019. What happened?
I think I just kind of fell out of love with the job.
The lack of support from the department, canceled days off,
I was working 12+ hour days.
24 days on the street, and some of those days were long days.
Both acknowledge many of the long days, long hours took place during the long summer of 2020. Months of protest after the death of George Floyd taxed the city's police department, but at some point, summer ended. The canceled days did not.
The days off, canceling, and shift changes kind of seemed to become the new norm. You know, we would be working in the dead of January on a day off with nothing going on.
These are not just complaints. A city agency confirmed them. From April 1st to May 31st of this year, more than 1,000 officers were scheduled 11 or more days without a break.
You're exhausted and you're scared that you're going to make a mental mistake out in the field.
You're angry, you're tired. Everyone is suffering. The communities that we serve, how are they supposed to get the help and service that they need?
Then there was this. The murder of Officer Ella French.
She was wearing the same uniform that I was wearing. She was wearing the same bulletproof vest that I was wearing. And it makes you value your life and makes you rethink everything.
The CBS 2 investigators have learned French may have been rethinking her future with the Chicago police. Let's go back to the night she was killed, Saturday, August 7th, 2021. French and her partner stopped a car for expired plates.
Heard gunshots, and then all of a sudden we just heard all the police cars and the helicopters.
French was shot in the head. She died at the scene. But just 2 days before her murder, French was here at the Cicero police station. A post like this one had likely attracted her. Cicero was looking to hire officers with experience. They're called lateral hires.
French walked through these doors and spoke to an officer at the front desk. She had to show her Chicago police ID and her badge to prove she was currently working and qualified for an application.
When news of the shooting broke, the Cicero officer who verified her ID recognized her face. Thomas Boyle is the interim superintendent.
We certainly would have loved to have had the opportunity to review her application. Obviously, that was not the case.
French wasn't the only Chicago cop interested in Cicero. Last year, out of 45 applicants,
The vast majority of those were from the city of Chicago.
Chicago cops are heading to suburban or other police districts in record numbers. So far this year, 146.
So where are they going? It took a little digging, but the CBS 2 investigators got the list. And the top pick might surprise you. It's not the traditional, well-known police force. This is the #1 choice, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, which has hired 31 Chicago cops since 2019. And here, the University of Chicago is a close second with 30.
Almost every suburban department is on the list. Cicero currently has 7.
When Chicago police officers apply for the job, what do they tell you?
It's nice to have my days off. So the average would be that they'd be working 4 days on and 2 days off.
Losing officers is the last thing Chicago needs. Nearly 3,200 have either resigned or retired since 2019. Only 1,600 have been hired.
That is certainly an issue.
Tracy Siska is the founder of the Chicago Justice Project, a nonprofit that fights for transparency in the criminal justice system.
They're definitely short on whatever their budgeted number is.
Budgeted number, over 14,000. Current number, about 12,000. The results, says Siska, overworked police, underserved public.
And they're going to put the community at risk because you have people in high-stress jobs with guns that are exhausted and having to make snap decisions.
No going back?
No. And no regrets.
Hurley now teaches social studies at Christ the King.
I'm very content with my life.
Even with a $65,000 pay cut.
So I exchanged that monetary value for happiness and mental health.
John is still looking, hoping to find a suburban department.
I love the job. It's always been my calling. Unfortunately, I can't do the job here in Chicago.
Wherever he lands,
The bracelet says Officer Ella French, Chicago Police Department.
this is the one thing he'll take with him.
End of watch 0807-2021.
This is the first in a series of reports we'll be doing, focusing on the Chicago police and how the shortage of officers ultimately affects all of us.
And it does. It does affect all of us. And as far as officers deciding to hit the suburbs, I understand. I had a friend that went to the suburb. I think they were shopping near Oakbrook, and it was reported that someone had stole some lipstick from Ulta. And there were like 6 police cars came out of anywhere and everywhere because they don't have much to do. It's kind of quiet. They have much to do now because people are now going to those
Mm-hmm.
suburbs to, for crime. But
Mm-hmm.
at one time, you didn't have that. So I can't blame them. I can't blame them. But this is
Well,
what. Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
No. I don't want to interrupt you.
I was going to say, I'm starting off as they're people too. Not all of them are, you know, terrible. More of them are than not. But those that cannot cope and deal with that, they're like, I'm out of here. I need something else. And that's more realistic. People, you still, whatever suit you put on, you're still an individual. You still are who you are. If you cannot um, adapt to some of the things, then you're going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to be able to function, suit or no suit. So that's why I wanted to add to that.
Okay. I mean, and I agree with that. I'll say this. I mean, I disagree that they're people. No, I'm kidding. No, but for real, I think that the solution needs to come in to people keep talking about, oh, they want to defund the police, they want to defund this and that. Oh, shouldn't they? Like, no, what we need to do is look at what they are being funded for and what that funding is going towards. What are we prioritizing? So it's kind of like, okay, so America has, in my opinion, and I mean Canada to some extent, although I think we're a tiny bit better, only a tiny bit, but still. But America has a lot of policies that are ass backwards or back asswards, depending on how you want to say it, of versus what they say that their end goal or their desire would be, right? So, for example, if you have prisons, because what you want to do is stop crime and reform criminals, so that way your crime rates could drop, right? Then America has proven time and time again that literally their ways not working, and other countries have proven that their ways do. Despite that, it doesn't seem to matter because it's not even just that the police departments or the fat cats and all those people would rather it this way, where everyone's profiting from the prison industrial complex. No, it's the common person, right? You don't reward criminals. You don't da 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 da. No, you should suffer in that prison. You should get zero privileges. You should have no opportunities, right? It's just the common belief system. So even though that is the best way to ensure that, people recommit even more offenses, that they get worse, that crime gets worse, that, your family will be more at risk in the future, so on and so forth, right? People don't really think it through. And I kind of think it's the same thing with the cops. Instead of thinking about should they get more vacation or not, like maybe we should just think about, well, if we don't necessarily maybe change their amount of dollars that they're funded, right? Or the amount of vacation that they get one way or the other, but we maybe change up their schedule a little bit, right? So maybe they're only patrolling to stop crime half of the time that they're working. Maybe the other half of the time that they are working, they have to do something else, something that has to do with community outreach, that doesn't involve them using a gun, that doesn't involve them arresting people, but instead makes them have to get to know the community, makes them have to work with certain vulnerable populations, stuff like that, right? Because then, yeah, the part of their brain that really needs a break from being constantly at 11 and paranoid and whatever will get that break, right? And then the parts of us that are tired of funding the police that are just going to come and slaughter us like we're dogs in the street, well, we'll get a little bit veggie because they will have to get to know the communities they're policing and the people in those communities and start seeing them as people instead of as these dangerous militant adversaries and da 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 da, right? Because they can go back to being people interacting with other people, right? They're not always policing, and there used to be a lot more of that type of effort, I think, and there's a lot less of it now. So I think that would be what I would kind of focus on, like one way or the other. Like, hey, if you got to hang out with the kids, like say 2-3 times a month, even, or you got to go and help the soup kitchens, or you got to go and help the abused women's shelters, or just somewhere where you can make a positive difference without arresting anyone, without hurting anybody, without anything. You just get to be there to get to know this community around you. If you got to do that even once or twice a week on some level, instead of having to, oh, I gotta fill my quotas, gotta da da da, gotta da da da. And your entire like livelihood is based on taking others down and seeing everyone as the enemy and a criminal. I think that would probably help overall on both sides. So that's how I see that one.
Okay. I'll have a question for you after we welcome Vonda. Welcome, Vonda.
Hey, girl.
Hey, Shar. Hey, Ruby. Thanks
Hey,
for
hey.
having me.
Anytime.
Well, I mean, I think being a police officer is a stressful job. I mean, there is that one-sided view that is seen of police officers, or that, they're opportunistic, they don't care about the people, and they just want to terrorize. And while I believe that is true of some officers, I don't believe that is true of all of them. And what makes me, have some sympathy is, when they work in areas, for instance, we're just going to say Chicago for the sake of, discussion. And what they're doing in Chicago with the no cash bail and that sort of thing. And then they're saying, oh, you don't have to, chase, these criminals anymore because it's so dangerous. When you're in an area where the violence and the crime and everything is so concentrated, who the hell, who wants to do that? You want to get up, take a shower, start your morning out, and you could be blown away, just starting out for something silly, and it doesn't take much for these, criminals to kill you. I mean, they could kill you for a stare, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's not even like there are egregious things being done that people will kill you for. They will do it, just for the smallest and simplest of things. So if I'm, listening correctly, is that the police officers, there's not enough of them, and there's more criminals than there are, police officers, and it's getting daunting. It's getting hard and it's dangerous. And they're to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm stressed out. I can't do my 20 years or whatever, the 25 years where they get their pension or whatever. They're like, you know what, I can't. I'm about to go crazy. I'm about to go nuts. And I'd rather go to the suburbs where nobody on a regular basis is just being robbed. The crime rates in the suburbs are easy. At some point you reach an age where you're like, okay, I'm doing this. Why? It's like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to risk my life. I have kids, I have family. I don't want to risk my life anymore. I want to do something easier because the job it's too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure if you work lots of hours, not able to get the days off that you're asking for, they're canceled rather, it would affect you some kind of way. And not even just being a police officer, but any position. But add the stress to working with the public, that's just, you know, that's just terrible. I have, I think, three more clips. Let me bring up the next one to share. And let's see if your views change a little bit because we're going to get more and more into, in my opinion, the human side of it. Because there is a human side. I mean, I get what you're saying, Ruby, but there is a human side. Let's see if you could see that. Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't, but a little bit softer, you know, you have a little love in your heart, just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, let's see what we got here. And turn it up. All right, come on, mouse. There you go. Say something. Okay. All right, what you think about that, Ruby? What do you think
Doesn't
about
change.
that?
It doesn't change my original answer, which
You
is
know,
again.
oh,
But like here, what did I say? What? Huh? Sorry, what'd you say? Me? Am I
you
breaking up?
you have 11 clinicians. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
11 to serve to help
Mm-hmm.
12,000 that says, hey, man, this it's just terrible. I need somebody to talk to. Oh, let me look at my calendar. Oh, let me see. I got about 5,000 in front of you. I'll get to you about March. How's March 7th for you?
Yeah, see that would work, and that would apply if in theory the police department was somewhere where, you could see a therapist. And I'm not saying that as in availability, I'm saying that as in the culture, right? And so, that's why I said my answer doesn't actually really change all that much, because the culture of policing, would suggest like they are so scared. They don't want to say that they need help, they need therapy, and if they do, they get pulled off of desirable posts. They'll be put on desk duty, which is like the death of your career. They'll be put back into like ticketing people and stuff. Again, death of your career. Like, no, they don't want to admit that they have any type of psychological, emotional, mental weakness, right? Because again, it's this culture of policing. So, I mean, they basically probably have the clinicians for when it's like, so officer involved shootings. There are certain types of things that officers are involved in that they have to get psychologically cleared, and it's probably literally those clinicians are mostly there just to write those bills of health, right? Yeah, you're cleared. Here you go. You can take your gun and your badge and keep running around. And that's it, right? They're not really there to help anybody. But again, that's because the culture of policing and the way that policing and its funding is set up is not for the greater good of the community or of the officers, right? It's really not. So, this is where you look at changing that structure again a little bit. Because if their mental health, their emotional health, wasn't something that they could be punished over, right? Their careers, they'll lose advancement, they'll lose promotion, they'll lose prestige, they'll lose respect. Well, you got to catch the most criminals to be able to get that. You got to get the most tickets. You got to have the highest quotas to be able to get that advancement, right? If you change the structure, right, then you change the willingness of the police. You change how much they're willing to invest in themselves, because it's not going to hurt them to invest in themselves, right? So I think it's the same thing over and over. See?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
you like to add to that, Vonda?
Well, just seeing that, there are only 11 clinicians to 12,000 sworn officers. To me, I have a lot of sympathy for that, because my thing is that, okay, so the only stress that these individuals have are just with their job. We have personal stresses in our lives, and sometimes, the personal stresses, can, bleed into our jobs. And if you, on top of that, have a stressful job, um, apparently, unaliving yourself is what the only choice that these people felt they had. There was no support. And when you're in that type of a job, I really believe that there should be optimum support, because that's just not, it's not a regular job. You have a heavy responsibility as a police officer. So therefore, you're a lot of times judge and jury. And, a lot of times given that type of power, y- you're not correct with the power, which is why police have the reputation they have, because, they become, judge and jury, over people, you know. Um, it's just, to me, it's a whole big old mess. I think the whole system, needs some revamping, and they need more people. But if it's looking that it's that, stressful, where are they going to get these people? How are they going to entice people come to this stressful environment where you could possibly lose your life and come work for us? Who wants to do that? So it seems like they're going to continue to be shorthanded and stressed out because the crime is not getting smaller.
Yes, it
Of
is.
course it's getting smaller.
Shoot, it's kind of tripled. And the other news stories I have is gonna, kind of mention that. And you kind of went in the direction that I wanted to talk about as well. Is they have lives outside of the job, and even with jobs that you and I have, just regular people, there's things that you deal with, and I'm sure with their jobs, there's certain things they could not share with their family. A lot of things they see, they're not able to figure out how to deal with that, who to talk to about that, or if they even have anyone to talk about that. So I don't know. I don't know. It looks sad, but let's listen to some more of this.
To build their vacations.
Anyone believe this is not true? Anybody?
I do. I don't think they canceled their vacations. I just think that they don't get days off. Like, because if you're like, okay, your regular schedule, you're scheduled to work Monday and Thursday, and then also Saturday, right? And then so you're supposed to have Friday off, and then they say, sorry, we need you to come in and work on Friday. That's not really canceling your vacation. That's just canceling that extra day off this week you're supposed to have, like, because you're only supposed to work 40 hours. Kind of canceling that. But I think a lot of cops want to work that. I think a lot of cops want to skip their vacation too because they want the overtime, right? They want the pay. So, I mean, I don't know, but it's like, I don't think that's canceling vacation. I don't know if they cancel people's vacation. Maybe it's just because I watch too many cop shows, but it seems to me like cops bank a lot of vacation and they'll just leave for like a year or something, right? But like, they don't like go on yearly vacations or even like, every once in a while. No, they don't really go on vacation like that. It's like they're married to their job for like decades. And then they go on like a 2-year hiatus and it's all paid because they banked so much vacation time. That's what it seems like. But again, I am going mostly by TV. So keeping it back.
Well,
Yeah.
I think they're canceling it. The mayor said, "Oh no, we don't cancel it." Then you have the officer here. No, we don't do that. But you have officers saying, "Hey, I can't take this," and because the increase of crime, the smash and grabs, and all the other stuff that had been going on, they needed these people out here. And they were out here. They were babysitting, and I literally mean babysitting, the Apple store. You think about that. I'm riding, dude, I'm on the bus. I look over, I'm like, what the? What? Yeah. They're actually babysitting an empty store. The store wasn't even open. He just out there babysitting. But they using these officers because they needed them. And these officers are retiring. They are going other places. They are quitting. And we'll see a little bit more of that a little bit later. Anything, Vonda, before I finish this clip?
Well, I think maybe, they turn a blind eye to, people taking vacation. I mean, if they're already understaffed and then, here comes, Sergeant Smith, you know what, I'm stressed out. I need to take a vacation, and then everybody looks at Sergeant Smith like, really, Sergeant Smith? You're really going to take a vacation now? We're already short staffed and it's just, me and so that are going to be here. So it's like an obligation for obligation to each other. The bond with those officers with each other is very strong because they spend so much time with each other. The partners, they spend a lot of time, hours a day, in their shifts with each other. So, they may think, okay, if I'm with this person 12 hours a day, this is my family. So I'm not gonna, willy-nilly take a vacation, or maybe take a vacation that's very well needed, because then my partner is gonna be here by themselves. So it's like this, blanket of responsibility, and it's a unspoken word, because he's like, no, we don't cancel vacations. Wink, wink. But everybody that's standing behind him, like, yeah, you don't. But if I take my vacation, everybody's looking at me like, oh, what? She really took a vacation?
Mm-hmm.
So it's you probably can't take your vacation without, compromising your team that you're actually with. So it's probably very hard. So I think the stress is just, it's just crazy, because you have a certain obligation to each other, and it's not written. There's no, it's not on your application. Nobody told you that, you're bound by blood to these men and women that you work with 12 hours a day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll play the rest of it. All right. Well, thank you for that, sir. All right. Let me see what I got up next. I think the next one is, yes, it is a video. All right. I had to struggle with this one. This New York Post thing. Oh my goodness. These little commercials. And let's see what happens. We enjoy your soapbox, Miss J there. We love it. Let's see. All right. Just the quitting. Close. Because we got so many officers. Now, this is not Chicago, but still, we have a lot of officers all around that are quitting. Let's see here. Volume.
Second time you arrested for robbery. Broke down and started to cry. His mother was on crack cocaine. His dad was upstate serving time for murder. He was missing from school for almost 30 to 40 days and no one knew it.
What you talking about? Oh, you know what? The darn video had jumped to the next video. Oh, Lord. Yeah, that's what it did. Sorry. Yeah, so this one, let me see if I can open up another window and get the original video. And if not, then I'll just read the article. It's loading it. It says, yeah, same darn video. All right, sorry, but here you go. Uh-oh. New York PD on pace to see record 4,000 cop mass exit by the year end. Pension fund stats. Okay, and this was published October 22nd. It's pretty fresh. Where pension fund figures reveal 3,054 officers have filed to leave the department so far this year, 42% more than the 2,155 who exited at the same time last year through September 30th. If the pace continues in the fourth quarter, the New York PD stands to lose 4,072 cops this year. That's even higher than the crippling attrition the department suffered in 2002, when 3,846 officers left the force following September 11th terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, where 24 cops were killed. Union leaders warn the mass exit have created a staffing emergency. To get enough cops on the street as the census falls to about 34,000 cops, down from 40,200 peak in 2000, The NYPD is on pace to spend $600 million on uniform staff overtime in the new fiscal year that began in July. That's 61% more than the 372 million budgeted for overtime, according to figures from the Independent Budget Office. Now, Ruby, with that just being said, what is your opinion on that? You have police now this is a whole nother state that's saying, hey, I gotta go. This is too much. I have to go. I'm leaving. Same thing.
Well, in that case, I would say that, I mean, yeah, the same thing would still apply, but overall, I think that you could probably say that about most career types right now. Like that's like the thing that happened a lot, right? Like hospitality, customer service, a lot of things that involve people who have to deal with other humans on a daily basis, whereby those other humans feel like they can disrespect you, walk all over you, spit on you, demand to speak to your manager, and just otherwise treat you like you're not quite human. People are tired of those jobs now. You know what I mean? Like there's just like this thing that happened, this worldwide global thing. And that made people, maybe it made them appreciate life more. Maybe it just made them say, you know what? Sitting at home, not dealing with the hustle bustle and all the nonsense and foolishness and not having people throw coffees in my face and putting my safety at risk and whatever for these ignorant ass entitled people who do not deserve my best. Right? It's just like I think that's what happened. And you have a lot of, especially I'll say millennials and younger, who are just like, no, like y'all, especially millennials, because literally for the majority of us, especially if we're talking the older ones, like our entire life has been a farce. Okay. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's just, we were raised under Generation X and Boomer rules, right? And this is how life is. This is how you get to be successful, boys and girls. If you just do this and this and this, you apply yourself and you do that, you're going to be successful. And then by the time we hit adulthood, we're finally ready to take all of that life, experience and training and put it into effect.
Mm-hmm.
The whole world changed on us with the tech boom, and everything that we trained to be, everything we knew, in some cases, everything we went to school to be, became obsolete overnight as soon as we graduated. So then what? Right? So like millennials, by and large, we have been fighting in this hustle bustle every day to just try to keep up with nothing, to try to accomplish nothing, right? And I think that that's what happened. I think that it's kind of the first time a lot of millennials got to stop ever and go, yeah, this has not been worth it. This killer fight I've been fighting to accomplish something that doesn't even seem to exist anymore is not worth it. And I think that, even more so, it'll be worse when it has to do with risking your life, right? So being a cop, being a firefighter, just anything. Because it's just like people are tired. Where's the reward? Where's the real reward? And then you're seeing little idiot, ignorant 11-year-olds and 14-year-olds and stuff make billions, right? While you risk your life to save them so they can disrespect you. You can't like kick them in the face or something because now you're gonna lose your job. And they still get to they'll make an extra million off of it, right? So it's like the world seems unfair. And I think that, when the world is this kind of unfair, it makes sense that people walk out of stuff, right? Teaching, I mean, teaching is not like risking your life, but man, is teaching unrewarding as far as, paying people for versus what they're giving to the world, like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do definitely agree with you as far as the culture of millennials. I do agree with that. The mindset. I get it. I understand it completely. So, anything on that, Vanda?
No.
All right. Okay, so the next thing I have here is, let me see, stop sharing. One more article. Remove. Yes, I don't doubt that the world has definitely changed for us, and it's a new place. I've seen a lot of different things. I mean, this is what 2022, the end of, and still, um, the places I shop don't have the amount of people to serve you. I mean, just whole food is like, oh, we don't have enough people in the bakery. Oh, we don't have this today. Oh, we don't have. I'm like, what? When you gonna staff somebody? You know, you just think it's gonna be people gonna be there, but no. So, all right. So here we go with the mental program of the police. Let's see here. Present. This kind of reminds me of the last one, but I know this is a different clip. I checked it. Okay, here we go. This is a little smaller. Seems like the same, but no, it isn't. Maybe not. I'm not sharing. One moment. All right. I gave an example of maybe March of next year with those 11 people they got. Now they have five more. Now they have 16. How interesting.
Wow. I think I think it's very sad. What happened with her, and when at any job you have a certain amount of dedication and pride for your job, and effort that you put into it because you enjoy what you're doing. But I've found this, at every job, at some point you have to choose yourself over the job, because sometimes what they're asking for is too much. Who cares what the next person is capable of doing? This is too much stress for me, and I don't want to do it. Um, I would not want to give my body to the police force. Um, Somebody's running and trying to take something. It's like, let them go. So when they started that law, oh, don't be chasing. Oh, don't have to tell me twice. You didn't even need a law to tell me not to be chasing no fool, and end up with my knee bashed in and nothing else. They're fine. I mean, this woman is going to have lifelong issues with that knee. That knee will never be right again. She's
Yeah.
gonna always have issues with it. And so was that job worth your knee? And not on top of that, the mental stress. Your job, they'll say, oh, take as much time as you need, and get better, and you're looking at your handbook and you're like, okay, well, the handbook says, I can get like 12 weeks. 2 weeks later, your job is calling you. How are you doing? You think you might be coming back soon? And you're looking like, oh no, I got 12 weeks. You're saying that to yourself. No, I got 12 weeks, but no, I'm just working things out, trying to get myself together. And they kind of do this, sly thing where they're like encouraging you to come back because they really don't want you off for that 12 weeks. Although that 12 weeks might be exactly what you need and then some. So at some point, these people sacrifice their bodies and their lives for this job, and then come to find out the job is not there for them. So they feel like, I've been duped. I've been, bamboozled. I've been hoodwinked. I gave everything to this job, and now I'm waiting for the payback because, I'm in some pain, and the job is like, pussyfooting around about giving the help that you need. And you know what? I'm sorry. Self-preservation, and who wants to sacrifice that much of themselves from your family and your own personal self for a job that on the back end, you don't get any payback for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's paying for her, you know, mental stress out of pocket. It's like, you know, so in her mind, they could care less about what's going on with me and my knee and, you know, the mental stress and, you know, anguish that I'm going through. I mean, if you think about it with a police officer, you know, we get to read about it or hear about it, you know, on a news source. They actually have to be there for, you know, the dreadful things that we just read about. They see it in full effect, you know, 3D right there in their face. And that might be traumatic, you know, seeing, you know, deceased bodies and, you know, children and just horrendous things that police officers have to see. And they have to act like it's business as usual. They have to, they can't cry. You know, if you're sitting there trying to take a statement from a victim and you're crying with the victim, it's like, wait, the victim be like, wait a minute, you know, you have to be strong as a police officer. But then after you leave that scene, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe what I just saw. I need to unpack this. I need to debrief. But you pile it on top of everything, and then you go on, you know, a week, 6 months, 2 years later, and all that stuff is just compounded on top of each other. No, thank you. I'm sorry. There's no way in hell. No way in hell.
Yeah, that is, like I said, you may not have anyone to talk to, and you have to let that out. That's stressful. You're going to scenes, you're touching dead bodies, you're playing good cop, bad cop, trying to make sure you're safe because you're going into different situations. So you got to make sure that not only you're safe, but you got to try to figure out what's going on in that particular um, event that you're dealing with. So that's really tough. Can you go to sleep, get a good 8 hours, or even 6 hours, and go and do it again the next day and be all right? Can you? Those few hours you got left. Um, do you have something fun you can do? Anything you can do? I mean, it's something. It needs to still human beings, suit or no suit. It's still something that it affects their lives because they're people. It affects those that they come in contact with, and that has been mentioned too, because these people don't just decompress. It ain't nothing nice. Nothing.
Yeah, see, the problem is, though, is that a function of the job or a function of individuals not realizing that everything ain't for everybody? Because, like, no offense or anything, right? But, like, for some people, right, working in a mortuary, right, being a mortician of any sort, being an ME would literally haunt their days and nights. They would never sleep. They would just hate everything about living. It would be the worst possible existence for them. And some people would find the work incredibly fulfilling, you know, perfectly peaceful even, and it would add and benefit to their lives, to their souls, to everything, right? Everything ain't for everybody.
True.
So to that extent, right, like I'm not trying to be like mean. It's not about like some people are weak or some people are strong. It's just people are different. And, you know, when you look at a particular job has a particular set of requirements, right? A particular set of benefits and a particular set of drawbacks. And for some people, the drawbacks of, say, policing or being a firefighter or, you know, any of these other jobs that have like major risks to their life or, you know, risks of harm or whatever, to them, that would be nothing in comparison to something other people might find to be ridiculous. Like if you have an extreme phobia of pets, right? Just walking around and being a zookeeper would be beyond a nightmare. You'd much rather face humans with guns, right? I would rather face humans with guns than dogs. That's me, right? I'm not saying it's rational, whatever. I'm just saying that for me, I would rather that. I don't find scary people with guns all that scary or threatening. I don't find that type of interaction to be the kind of thing that keeps me up at night, right? But like a dog, I'm not even kidding. It doesn't have to be a big dog, can haunt me for weeks. Like it will really ruin like my months going forward, right? So that those are individual differences. So I think first we have to look at individual differences, and testing and whatever it should be, also weeding out people. I'm sorry, this just ain't for you. Because if we have to pay you special hazard pay, because the basic requirements of the job are just super hard for you, well, then it's not the right job for you, right? Like, I'm not saying that cops don't deserve, to get paid well, right? Just like I'm not saying, like, I would say teachers deserve to get paid well. But again, you shouldn't be paid out the nose as a teacher because you think kids are annoying. So the fact that you have to teach kids under the age of 18 is just an added stress. And you think, therefore, you deserve hazard pay for that. Plus, kids get sick all the time. Plus, kids, yeah. No, that's your shitty attitude towards, kids. And that's cool. Like, again, everything ain't for everybody. But you don't like kids. That's cool. Don't teach kids under the age of 18. And if you can't qualified to be a professor teaching kids over the age of 18, well, then I guess you can't be a teacher. That's just what it is. And that's kind of how I feel about it, and you hit the hazard sucked. You knew that came with the job. Did you love the job up until that moment? Am I supposed to feel sorry for you that you loved the job up until that moment and then a hazard you knew was coming came? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's a lot of buyer's remorse in society, and we're really, really in a feelings over facts kind of society where like we just don't want to hold people accountable for the decisions that they're making about their own lives. And they say, I know what's coming with it. I'm prepared to accept the risk when the risks happen, and we're all supposed to cry for them. Like I just can't do that. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's where I stand on that one. Sorry.
Well, I can understand that though. I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, everything is not for everybody. But for instance, with the lady that they were speaking about, she, was given the warnings and, saw what happened on the job. And, I'm not sure how long her husband was on the force before she got on it. But, when you're in those types of jobs, they say, okay, well, yeah, it's a dangerous job, and this is what's going to happen, and you're going to have to deal with this, and you sign up for it, you raise your hand and you swear yourself in. You're like, yeah, I'm all for it, But they say, well, if this does happen, we have this, in place for you. We have help. Don't worry about it. We're going to help you. You're going to be able to get the help that you need. And you're like, okay, well, cool, I'm really for it. I'm really into this job. And then you go into the job and you do your thing. And then the very thing that they said they would help you with happens to you. And then you're like, okay, you're dragging yourself in with your one leg. And you're like, okay, now here, I need help with this leg. And they're like, help? What? What are you talking about? Put a Band-Aid on that and get some crutches and get back out there.
Yeah.
We have ace bandages for you. Take an ace bandage, and go on about your business. She's like, well, no, I'm kind of having, some PTSD. I feel like people are going to jump on me, and I might need to talk to somebody. Blow it off. Don't you worry about it. Just keep it going. So it's like the help that they said is there. The safety net that they said is there has a huge, gigantic hole in it. So there's no safety net. So, I don't think in every situation it is the buyer's remorse, because I totally get that. You bit off more than you can chew, and you'd be like, okay, what did you think being a police officer was? Well, I knew it would be dangerous, but I thought you guys said that I could go to the EAP and get some help, but I went and I talked to the lady one time, and she hasn't returned any of my calls. So it's like, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Right. And I see, that's what I'm saying. This is why my first answer still stands, right? Whereas, and I think they need to change the culture and structure behind policing and what they're funding and where they're funding and so on and so forth. Because my first few answers would absolutely take care of problem A. And my last answer takes care of problem B, the people who think everything sounds great in theory until they experience it in reality, right? So I feel like it's an all-around thing. Because, yeah, do I think, for example, like, okay, let's talk about war, right? You get a bunch of idiot kids full of, what do they say? It's called like piss and vinegar or something like that. You get a bunch of these young, full of bravado, young, dumb, full of kind of kids who's, well, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to be masculine, I'm going to get to sign up for war during not wartime, right? And you're going to get a free education, you're going to get free this, you're going to get free that, come on, ain't nothing, right? And they don't matter, the glory. And then, they actually go and experience like war, right? And it's like, wait, no, nobody prepared me for this whole war thing. Like, war is real. Wait a minute, what the hell is this shit? Right? Like, it's like at that point, you're like, them, I get it. Because there's literally nothing in your lived experience that could really and truly prepare you for the realities of war. Versus even just what we see in movies and TV shows and stuff versus what you would actually live and experience. So there's just nothing. There's nothing at all to prepare anybody for the reality of what that would be like. I get that. And they're taking very young kids, scooping them freshly out of idiot school, i.e. high school, because high school really just trains you into being an adult, right? You come out of high school, you're the smartest you're ever going to be, right? Like, no. So it's like, I feel for them, right? And to me, I'm like, a lot more of my sympathy goes there because I'm like, after high school and often after even the military is when people go and sign up for the police academy. So, I'm like, you got more time. And I feel like it's just more, there's a lot more real reality mixed in there. You go home every night and da-da-da-da. And I'm not saying there's not hard times. I'm not saying there's not serious situations. Like, you hope to God as a cop, you never have to pull your gun. You hope as a cop, you never get into school, situation, or, all these different situations. I get that. Right. And it might happen to you. It might, and it would be terrible if it does, but I'm like, you're not, 17 or 18, you got scooped up fresh out of high school. They shipped you off to a completely different country. You haven't seen anyone or anything or recognize in the last 8 to 12 months. And the best friend you have is the gun underneath your cot that you're calling a bed, right? Mm-hmm. And the sand fleas, right? It's a very different thing. Right. And I'm like, that's sort of like, the police are not offering you the therapy. Okay. Not that you would want to get it through the police therapy, just again, for the same reason, because of the culture. So that means you'd want to go get private therapy anyway, and you'd want to hide it really well because you don't want it going in your record because it will hurt your chances to be able to advance. Right. So that's why I'm like, again, I think it's really complicated, and I don't think that they see a need to increase it any higher because most people are only going to see bare minimum, what's absolutely necessary, what's absolutely mandated, and anything that they need privately, they're going to seek privately and away from the police force where it won't be recorded. And that's because of the culture. So yeah, a lot of things need to change, and defunding isn't going to help those things change. I think we need to really look at what's really the problem and how do we really resolve these problems from both to benefit the police, but also to benefit the citizens, right? And how do we get a net positive benefit? And I think that it comes from changing priorities. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I
don't see that happening, the changes like that.
No, never.
Maybe that could be a solution. I don't know, but I know it's going to take a lot of work, and that will just kind of disrupt the way things are going. And people normally don't start all over again to fix something. They just patch here, patch that, tweak that a little bit over there, and have the same thing all over again.
Nope. I noticed there's a couple things, and I was having a conversation with someone back chats last month. Anyway, kind of find out that one of the shows I was referring them to, and they're in America, one of the shows I was referring them to is not on American Netflix, it's on Canadian Netflix. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And the reason why it's not is because the show was showing how the prison industrial complex does not exist in other countries, and how the way that the system is set up in other countries, they have far less prisons and they're recidivism rate, like the rate at which people reoffend, is very, very low. Their murder rate is very, very low. And their prisons are not punitive, as in, so it doesn't really seem to matter what you did, right? Like you kind of your prison, like you're away from your family. And the way they see that, that's like the worst possible thing, that you can't like leave this building and you're away from your family and you can't, attend important things. That's prison. That's horrible. So they basically live like almost like in an open concept. It's really what it seems like. And they kind of like, they have to prepare their own meals. They have to use that money that they earn at their prison job to go to the grocery store in prison and buy themselves food to prepare themselves for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or they are going to starve. They have to keep taking care of themselves. They have to do their laundry. They have to do everything like they still live out in the real world. Or for some of them, in some cases, if you've been homeless or whatever, you might not have ever learned these skills. And then they have jobs at prison, real jobs with real benefits that you would like, say, mechanics. They have like a full auto body shop and a full this and a full that. And people really go do real jobs. They have to go walk to their job. They have to go and punch in and out. You swear to God, I swear to God, Sharon, it's like looking at a little city, right? But that's prison. And these people take it as very punitive, actually. And they don't go there for 50, 100 years and whatever. And then they go out and they don't reoffend. So the reoffense rates are super low, like crazy low, like 10% low, okay? And so imagine we could just like shut down the problem of crime that quickly. Well, we could. But then, you know what? All the 1%ers that like literally make billions every year off of just people getting scooped up and sent to prison, guilty or innocent, well, they would stop making those billions of dollars. And no one is satisfied with that answer, especially because they're building how many new prisons this year? So they can't stop crime. That would be crazy. What we have to do is perpetuate crime. Let crime continue to raise. Let crime continue to destroy society so people want us to be tougher on crime, right? So that way the 1%ers can keep winning, right? And all of the rest of us can keep suffering from the crime rates. That's what they want. And it's like, we have to realize, like, the police aren't really fighting a battle against crime. They're not. They're just playing their role, just like we play our role. We're all just playing our role in what the 1%ers want. The charade the 1%ers have put up so they can keep earning billions of dollars. That's what it is. Nobody cares. That's it. No one cares.
You are too much, but I do get it. And I definitely appreciate I do appreciate the comments, your participation. And as I said before, guys, I have no more than 4 shows left. We'll have the 18th. Not sure about December, except for that final one for New Year's. But other than that, I don't know. I'll let you know when I know. I know next week will be a little bit about the men and not capable of love, but it'd be a little twist with where did black women go wrong. That's not going to be the title, but that's going to be the direction. I got to get with the person that requested that topic to see how they want to discuss it so I can figure out what, to pull, direction we're going to go in. But yeah, we're going to go into a little thing like that as far as just to see, throw the conversation around, see where it lands. I mean, everyone's opinion, and that's fine. I'm not into, this is the reason why, and that is the absolute reason why, because everybody got an opinion, and that's all right. We're going to get into it, and let's see what happens. Sounds good, good people?
Sounds very interesting. I'd like to know where black women went wrong.
All right. That's what we're going to do. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Hope that extra hour helped. It's been all right. It's been all right. Still a little tough week. Seemed a little long to me, but it's getting colder now. Got the heat on because, yesterday was 70, so I went on, headed to Whole Food. Now it's in the 30s, and that's where we are. So, yeah. But I hope you guys stay safe, enjoy your weekend, and until we meet again, which should be next week, peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Peace out, family.